Look, I don't want to be a killjoy, but remember, the playoffs haven't started yet. We have one more week left in the regular season, and we are here to talk about it on the Mafia Minute. Welcome to the show. I am Magnum Mills here with Jamie G, and we're going to be previewing the regular season finale, the Week 18 matchup in New England. Thank you very much for checking out the Mafia Minute presented by CZGAP Fantasy Football. You can find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. Find us on social media at CZGAPFF and on the web at mafiaminute.com. Very simple and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Very crucial to our success. Follow, like, and please subscribe if you had fun. Please make sure that you hit the thumb. Jamie G, a little bit of a different one here. Usually cautiously optimistic or cautiously pessimistic. Here, there's really only one goal: get through the week healthy. How are you feeling heading into the regular season finale? That I know you want to win, but it doesn't really necessarily matter if you do. How are you feeling heading into the final week of the regular season?
Feeling really good, Mills. I loved how the Bills responded last week against the Jets in that dominating win fashion. And let's be real, the Jets are a team they should dominate, but it's still a division rival, and people thought it might be a little bit close, including myself. But they came out and really showed us that they're separating themselves from the rest of the pack here and ready for this playoff push. Feeling good about this one. I mean, they wrapped up the division before they even played the Pats for the first time. They've now clinched the number two seed. It's about getting healthy, and it's about giving guys a chance to showcase what they have as they continue to always be developing talent. It's ABT, always develop talent, and I think they're doing a good job of that. So I'm excited about this one. I absolutely want to win. It's a chance for us to clean sweep the division, which doesn't happen often. That's really awesome, and it's a chance for us to get 14 wins, which is also something that's really hard to do in the NFL. So excited about this one, Mills. Feeling good.
All right, so he's just excited. No hedging, no caveat. We like that, and we're going to open things up with some Bills on parade, the latest Buffalo Bills news and whatnot. Not much here, except for they have announced the Pro Bowl rosters. Again, these will change a little bit as we get closer. Players will drop out for injuries. The Super Bowl teams will not have their players contributing to the game, so there'll be replacements named for them. So, as it is, the Bills have two starters on the Pro Bowl rosters: quarterback Josh Allen, no surprise, and left tackle Deion Dawkins. We did get a few alternates. At first alternate, you have Connor McGovern and James Cook. At third alternate, you have DeMar Hamlin. At fourth alternate, Terrell Bernard. And then as fifth alternate, you have Ed Oliver, Reggie Gilliam, Spencer Brown, and Dalton Kincaid. And Jamie G, I know you think every Buffalo Bill should probably make the Pro Bowl. Are there any egregious snubs here? I think maybe James Cook is the only one you can make an argument for, is based on the stats because of the whole, let everybody eat offensive philosophy here. Any thoughts on the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, I think James Cook not winning is an absolute atrocity. It's criminal. James Cook should be on the first team. 14 total touchdowns. He's been dominant. I think he's averaging 7.4 yards a carry. He's been dominant in the passing game, dominant in the rushing game. He hasn't even played in a lot of fourth quarters of the games. Think about how many touchdowns are taken away from him. He could have over 20 touchdowns if it wasn't, Josh Allen kind of taking a lot of those. So to me, I think this is an absolute criminal that James Cook was not on the team here for the Pro Bowl, and I think it just makes it just silly. It really doesn't matter anything when they do stuff like this. It's like, all right, so it's not even a real thing. It has no value. You're leaving off a guy like that. Absolutely ridiculous. I hope it pisses him off, and I hope he absolutely goes nuts during the playoffs.
Yeah, I would have probably put him on there over Jonathan Taylor. I think, maybe it's the fact that Taylor had those couple monster games at the end of the season that are sticking in everyone's head a little bit, but he's been very inconsistent, especially throughout the middle of the season. Cook has been there, and it's hard to penalize him for his numbers. He's been very efficient in the looks that he's got. So maybe you can make the argument for him over Mixon as well, who's also kind of been hot and cold this season. I think Cook has been more consistent, but I will not put him above Derrick Henry. But they're given three starters. Cook would have been one of my three, put it that way. I think that's fair. And shout out to Dalton Kincaid, who really has been kind of disappointing. He hasn't missed much, but I think Bills Mafia came off for Kincaid to even make it as an alternate. So shout out Bills Mafia stuff in the ballot box a little bit there. Let's get into the game preview, starting with the tail of the tape. Once again, this is Week 18, Sunday football. Another of these 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoffs. This game is on CBS or Sunday Ticket if you're looking to watch. Sunday, January 5th, 2025. Yes, we are already in 2025. According to the Draftkings Sportsbook, the Bills are currently 2-point road favorites, minus 125 on the money line, while the Patriots are 2-point home underdogs, plus 105 on the money line. Game total is 38 points. The weather will be about fair for this time of year up in New England. You got temperatures in the low to mid 30s, winds between 10 and 20 miles an hour, so gusting a little bit, probably more consistently around 15 miles an hour. No real chance of snow or rain. Looking pretty dry, just a little bit cloudy, so not too bad of a day, but a little bit windy and a little bit crisp. Moving on to the injury report on the New England side of the ball, we know that Drake May is going to play. That's the big one. Outside of that, the Patriots have about 20 players listed as questionable, so we're not going to dig too much into it other than to say keep an eye on cornerback Christian Gonzalez. He is one of their best defenders. He is currently in the concussion protocol, so would be kind of surprised if he plays. On the Bills side of the ball, again, we're not quite 100% sure how the Bills are going to handle the situation with their starters and stuff. The guys who were out last week in week 17, Damar Hamlin, Curtis Samuel, both limited in practice this week. I don't know if there will be any need to really push them to be out there this week. As far as other injuries right now, Cam Lewis is dealing with a shoulder. He's questionable. Taylor Rapp still dealing with a neck injury. He's questionable. We know Terrell Bernard is out. Sean McDermott did say that. And we know that Josh Allen is going to start to keep his streak intact. But after that, he will be quickly moving aside for Mitch Trubisky. Jamie G, any thoughts on these guys? Anything you've heard about how the Bills are going to deploy some of the backups or which starters are going to sit? Anything overall here as far as the injuries or what you've heard in terms of who's going to be out there on Sunday?
I think that they're going to be cautious here with some of their guys and making sure that they're as healthy as they can be. No need to really rush a guy back here. Now you can't rest everybody. Some people are going to have to play, but they, in typical McDermott fashion, he hasn't come out and been crystal clear. I would expect that Deion Dawkins, Connor McGovern, some of the offensive line probably doesn't play. Maybe even Spencer Brown gets a rest day here, and we'll start to see some depth. I would expect, Gregory Rousseau, some of the key cogs on defense are probably out this week, and it's a good chance to see some of the younger guys. So excited about that. As far as Josh Allen, he's got the Iron Man streak going for him with consecutive starts. It matters to him, and so I'm happy that coach is allowing him to take that start and. As coach put, he will be out there for a very, very, very short amount of time. So I think that probably sums it up to one handoff to Ray Davis or something like that, and then he's probably out of there.
I thought maybe they'd give him a drive. That's kind of what I interpret as maybe they give him a drive, a chance to put one more touchdown on the board. Maybe bolster the MVP case just a tiny bit there, but I think that's probably the max. So maybe somewhere between one play and one drive is probably about enough. I don't think we really need more than that. We have seen all we need to see from Mr. Allen thus far this season, but we still need to see Jamie G's keys, the keys to victory for Week 18. You know my keys. Jamie G. Again, the Bills don't have to win this one, but it doesn't mean that it's a total meaningless game. Give us your keys to victory here. The keys to maybe not even a victory, but the keys to properly utilize this Week 18 matchup.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, man, we gotta finish the game just as healthy as we started it, right? And there will be some players resting, but a lot of important players, depth players, rotational guys, and special teamers will be out there on the field this week. And I think this could potentially be the only key to victory this week because I think by far it's the most important thing is that we come out of this game healthy and ready to go for the playoff push. But key number two, just for the sake of having a couple up here it's got to be J and G's keys, right? It can't be just his one key. So we got to have a couple. Number two, continue to build momentum on defense. The Bills defense did not have a good first half against Patriots 2 weeks ago. Don't get me wrong, they stepped up in the second half, created some turnovers, but I'd like to see him dominate all 4 quarters this time. A great week to build up the confidence too, especially for some of our pass rushers. Would love to get their sack totals up. Love to get after the young quarterback here. It's also a great opportunity to get more experience for some of the younger guys, inexperienced players who've had to cover for us in the secondary recently or earlier in the season. So great reps here. Key number three, Mills. Get some reps for the younger players on offense as well. This is a great time to see what Ray Davis can do with the bigger workload. We saw it flash during the Jets earlier in the season. Love to see it here against the Pats. And it would be awesome to see Keon Coleman get like 10 targets, right? I know we'd like him to be getting those reps with Josh Allen, but he missed a decent chunk of the season with that wrist injury. Nice opportunity for him here to really dominate against the Patriots here. And you know what? We need to see some depth pieces on the offensive line out there as well. It'd be good to see some of those guys get in there and rotate. We've been pretty lucky, knock on wood here, when it comes to continuity on the offensive line. So it'd be nice to get some of those guys in the backup role there to get some reps.
Feels kind of nice having some, let's say, just the less stressful keys to victory here, right? It's not as much of a high pressure environment, but we're still going to put you on the spot here because we need some predictions for Week 18. We need you coming in hot, Buffalo style, with your predictions. We do them like we like our wings at various levels of heat. You got a mild prediction, a medium prediction, and a hot one. Jamie G coming in hot, Week 18. What you got for us, starting with your mild?
Yeah, man. So mild in typical Buffalo fashion. It's still got some flavor and a little kick, baby. My mild is the Bills will win the football game. Yeah, I know they're favored by a field goal, but that's why this is a mild prediction, all right? It would complete the season sweep of the AFC East, which is something that just brings so much joy to my heart. I love to dominate this division. Being able to sweep it would be the icing on the cake as we head into the playoffs. So, hoping that mild comes true. The medium, Mills, typical Buffalo fashion, our medium's going to have some heat associated with it. You're going to know you're eating a medium. Ray Davis scores 20 plus DraftKings points. Look, he scored 18.2 DK points back in week 6 against the Jets when James Cook was out. At $5,200 on the main DraftKings slate. You need him in your lineup this week. I think this is a absolute crush game for him. That's at least 100 plus rushing and receiving yards and 1 plus touchdown. Can he do it? Hell yeah, he can. Let's get it done, Ray Ray. And coming in, scorching hot Mills, the Bills set a season high with 6 sacks against the Patriots. Look, we had five sacks against Jacksonville way back in week 3. We were in the universe last week with 4 against the Jets. Why not this week with 6, man? New England's given up 6 and 7 sacks in different games this season. Drake May went down 4 times against the Chargers last week. Let's get after him. Let's get his ass on the ground, baby.
That sounds good, man. They are really banged up on that offensive line. And you know, some of those defensive linemen, they love those sack totals when it comes time to renegotiate their contracts and all that good stuff. So let's get the big uglies in there, having some fun. And because it's not necessarily just about winning this week, you want to keep an eye on some other players here. So starting on offense, you give us a couple players that you're really trying to keep an eye on in this Week 18 game that are maybe they're in a different role, they're getting more playing time than usual, that kind of thing. Who are you looking at on offense here?
Yeah, first up, man, at the wide receiver position, Tyrell Shavers. We saw him make the big play last week, late in the game, where he took a screen pass that was basically at the line of scrimmage and just put the Jets on, man, and took it to the house when the Bills went up 40-0. Interesting prospect here, Mills. They've been developing in him the last year or two on the practice squad. He keeps kind of making the roster. They love his combination of size and speed. And at 6'4", 218 pounds, and being able to run the way he does, I think there's enough interest there. I'm curious to see how he does and if he can build on the momentum that he had last week in that touchdown play. Next up, Frank Gore Jr. I know he's the name, but being such a fan of Frank Gore Sr. and even his time at the end of his career with the Bills and what he had to say about the Buffalo Bills organization, how he wanted his son to go there, I think that speaks volumes, bro. And I'm curious to see what role he's going to play here. Will we see him catch the football out of the backfield in the kind of the Ty Johnson role? Will he get outside and on sweeps? Will he run completely inside on the line? What can he do? We saw him in limited action in the preseason, and he looked the part. Really curious and excited to see Frank Gore Jr. kind of get some action in this one. And then last but not least, Mills, Zach Davidson. He's a guy I really liked in preseason. Made some noise at the tight end position. There was neck and neck for that tight end 3 spot with Quentin Morris. Quentin Morris ended up beating him out. Davidson went to the practice squad, and it's mostly just a matter of Morrison offers so much in special teams. But Zach Davidson, Mills, 6'7", 251 pounds. Again, he was right there at tight end 3 behind Knox and Kincaid. He's got the ability, I think, to be a unique passing threat, more of kind of receiver than a blocker, although he does offer some inline blocking because of his size. Had a really strong preseason, looked solid in the limited showings early in the season. I think he had a big catch in one of the games, either when Knox or Kincaid or both of them were out earlier this year. So excited to see Zach Davidson.
I'm a big fan of the Gores in general. I don't even think he's born yet, but I'm already a big fan of Frank Gore the third. So I'll be getting that
Yeah.
jersey very early on. Go ahead and get the pre-order in. How about the defensive side of the ball? Who are you looking at to make an impact here in Week 18?
Yeah, I think any Bills fan, you got to be excited about Buffalo Joe, man. Joe Andreessen, local kid. I think this is one of the coolest stories in all of sports. This is what makes sports so awesome. One of the reasons, at least. And I think he's going to start and virtually play the whole game here. I mean, the Bills have developed good players at this position at linebacker. We saw it last year when Terrell Bernard stepped into a starting role. We saw it with Tyrell Dodson, who had a good season last year, went on to sign a big contract with Seattle. And then we saw it with Dorian Williams, right? I mean, so they've shown the ability to develop this position. I know that defensive coordinator has a soft spot having coached linebackers and Bobby Babich Sr. was a linebacker coach for the Bills too. So curious to see how Buffalo Joe does. I know he's going to play his heart out, man, and that's just awesome. So I'll be rooting for him. Also, Mills, Javon Solomon. He's a defensive end who fell to us. I think it was round 5, somewhere late in the draft this past year. He led all of college football in sacks last year out of a small school in Troy, but literally led the entire college football in total sacks. He's gotten playing time late in games in a rotational role, and he's been able to create some pressure. Hasn't necessarily set the world on fire in terms of like stats and numbers and sacks, but you see him getting after the quarterback. You see him disrupting. Excited to see if he can win on the outside in this game now that he's going to get kind of a lot of playing time. And then last but not least, Jamarcus Ingram, another undrafted prospect that the Bills have been developing the last season or two. Tall, lengthy corner prospect. We saw him make a huge play in that first game in Miami with the pick six. He stepped in and everyone was kind of worried, and he really held his own in that game. Really excited to see him come into form here and be able to play a whole game as he's expected to start. And again, we saw him develop, Christian Benford. This is another position where, it's a soft spot for, I think, Sean McDermott, both, DBs and safeties. And so excited to see what they do with Jamarcus Ingram here if he makes some noise, kind of getting, legit playing opportunity.
Yep, very good. Interested in seeing all those guys. And shout out Javon Solomon, the proud alumnus of Troy. Always loved Troy. Just a very cool name for a university. And I need you to go ahead, pull out your dream board here and manifest a little Mafia magic for us. Your ideal scenario, your dream scenario for week 18. I mean, this week it feels pretty easy. If you just told me, hey, the Bills win and no one got injured, I think that's pretty dreamy, but go a little bit deeper than that, man. What's your dream scenario here for week 18?
Yeah, we'll dig a smidge deeper, Mills. But I mean, number one, the Bills backups put together an outstanding effort, win the football game without any major injuries, and giving birth to several new stars waiting in the wings. I think that's what I'm most excited about. My biggest dream is we get 2, 3, maybe 4 guys where we're like, damn, those are players, right? And we got those guys, and that gives the Bills, credit to the staff, credit to the coaching, credit to the front office to be able to find those guys, develop them, and get some leverage here as we continue to have to construct a roster built around paying some superstars, most notably Josh Allen, right? That's talent, that's ongoing stuff you have to deal with. I'd love to see them give birth to a few new stars in this game. Outside of that, Mills, digging a little bit deeper, I'd love to see a few touchdowns from the practice guys and backups at the wide receiver and running back position. We talked about Shavers. We talked about Frank Gore. Let's see one of those guys pop in the end zone, man. At least one, right? And I'd love to see depth on our defense, stymie New England's offense, force May into bad decisions, and get his ass on the ground. Let's get a couple sacks from these guys that are stepping up, man. And Buffalo Joe, let's get him his turnover. That would complete my dream.
Oh, all right. I think that's enough specificity there. We can live. That sounds like a good dream. We can live with that one. That brings us to our Bills bets because this one is especially a game where it's going to be fun to watch. There's no pressure, but maybe you want a little bit of pressure, right? Maybe have a little bit something extra riding on it. This year, we are still currently in the green overall, up about 311 Bills bucks. We're being held up by Jamie G. He's up about 274 Bills bucks, and our tripods are three-leg single game parlays up about 225 on those. I'm dragging us down about down about 188, dragging us down a little bit here, but we are going to get squarely back into the green this week. Jamie G, this is a tough one here. As we are doing this, we do not have a lot on the menu for us. over on DraftKings. So I had to kind of look around here. I was looking for something with a little bit longer odds, but I don't want to get greedy and try to really tease the Bills line too much. So I'm just going to go with the Bills to win the race to 20 points. That's plus 130. So 100 Bills bucks brings back 230. The Bills just have to get to 20 before the Patriots do. That's it. If they don't get to 20, I don't win. If the Patriots get to 20 first, I don't win. But other than that, I am taking this one down, feeling extremely confident in this one. Jamie G, what do you have for us as your final Bills bet of the regular season?
Yeah, Mills, I couldn't go to the old well with Josh Allen 2+ touchdowns this week, so I had to find something else. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I think we're pretty much in simpatico here. I have Buffalo over 20.5 points team total. I don't need them to get there first. I don't care if New England gets there or not. I just need them to get 21 points or more. That's plus 120 Mills. I'm going to go ahead and take the 100 cricket coins and win 220. Let's go.
That brings us to our tripod. This is a three-leg single game parlay. And this is going to be a little bit difficult. Again, we don't really have any player props available to us at this point. So we're going to make do with what we have. And actually, I kind of like the way this one turned out. Leg number one, we're going with Jamie G's prop here. The Bills over 20.5 team points. So if the Bills score 21 or more points, we win that leg. Leg number two, the defense going to step up a little bit, hold the Patriots under 16.5 points. That's a little bit tough. Maybe it's asking too much of the backups, or I don't know. Is it we saw the Patriots really struggle against the Chargers last week, and we had to get a little bit of juice somewhere because that's plus 320 on its own. And then the final leg, we're going to take the first half under on the total. So Buffalo at New England under 19.5 first half points. That's plus 100, even Steven. You put these three legs together, Buffalo over 20.5 points, New England under 16.5 points, and under 19.5 points in the first half. That's plus 900. So 100 coins brings you back a cool 1,000. So not too bad. We love that. Plus 900, bringing back 1,000, getting the comma in there. It's just the one comma club, but it's cool enough for us. And you might be playing over on DraftKings this week. It's not a huge offering for the Showdown slate, but I know the hardcore Bills fans will be in there. We call these our Draft Joshes because Josh Allen is the only king here on the Mafia Minute. And you can't go to the well with Josh Allen as our favorite captain play as usual. So instead, we're going to go to Ray Davis, only 8,100 in your captain spot. That'll save you a lot of money, let you pretty much do whatever else you want. If you are in a tournament, you could also think about going with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. He's priced all the way up at 13,500 if you're putting him in the captain spot. But if the Bills offense is going to have a day outside of the rushing game, Trubisky is going to have a lot to do with it. If you want some value plays, we definitely like the Buffalo Bills DST, only 4,000 flat in your flex. And you could play any of the Bills backup running backs, really. The more notably expensive ones are Ray Davis at 5,400, Ty Johnson at 4,400. I don't know if they'll use Johnson or Davis as much. It's a little bit tricky here because you also have a couple of punch plays. And JBG talked about some of these guys already. Terrell Shavers, only 1,000. Frank Gore Jr., only 200. And Zach Davidson, only 200. That's the stone cold minimum. So you shouldn't have too much trouble paying up for guys this week. You do have to play somebody on the New England side of the ball. I think our favorite two plays, probably the best overall right now, looks like Antonio Gibson, seemingly taking over the starting running back role from Ramondre Stevenson. Only 7,400 in your flex. If they're behind, if they're dumping it off to the running back, Gibson should be the guy picking up those receptions. And if you want to go with the New England passing game, Demario Pop Douglas, they call him Pop, a little bit young to be called Pop, but I don't know when the correct age you're allowed to be called Pop as a nickname is. He's 7,400 in your flex, and you do have Keyshawn Booty as questionable here, so he could be the undisputed number one target in the Patriots passing game. And if you're looking for a little bit of a stacks or a combination here, I love playing Ray Davis or any Bills running back. Take your pick at captain, stacking them with the Bills defense, running it back on the other side with Antonio Gibson. If you need to work another value play in there, Shaver seems like a good bet to get a lot of reps at wide receiver this week. And if you're in a tournament, don't be afraid to put the Bills defense special teams at captain, throw in some running backs. Maybe you take a chance on Keon Coleman getting some reps out there with Mitch Trubisky. Again, this should be a week where you're not going to struggle to pay up for a lot here. You don't have Josh Allen taking up a ton of your salary, so have some fun with it this week. Win a couple bucks. It'll help you enjoy that Bills victory even more. The last order of business is our final score prediction. Jamie G, the Bills are still favored here. We're not asking you to go against the grain. Pretty sure you're going to take the Bills to win, but what will the score be?
Bills, I have to take the Bills to win, and I'm going to have them win in a close one. A hard-fought battle here, but I've got them winning, and they're covering the -2. Give me Bills 24, New England 21.
Hey, that sounds right, man. At this point, a win is a win. The important thing is that it's a healthy one. And we will be back to review the results of this game. And then after that, we can start talking about the playoffs. Until then, thank you very much for
Playoffs.
checking out the Mafia Minute presented by C's Gap Fantasy Football. Find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at C's Gap FF and on the web at mafiaminute.com. Very easy to remember, just like those flaps. Very crucial to our success. FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure that you've hit the thumb. I am Magnum Mills here with Jamie G, who is going to get you as hyped as possible for a game where the number one goal is to stay healthy.
Bills Mafia, I love you. We have been through it all season long, and we came out to where we are. We got one regular preseason game, a chance to go up against a division opponent we can't stand and beat them with our backups. I don't know about you, but that sounds freaking awesome. Let's give them hell one more time and get ready because playoffs are coming, baby. We'll see you on the flip side. Go Bills.